I'm not sure this is the audience that is probably the least bit interested in that. So they all came here to listen to about education solving the future. But no, I think it's all really important always to remember.
A source close to Prince Edward's household has revealed a troubling truth about life behind palace doors. Sophie, now widely regarded as one of the most trusted royals in Britain, was preparing for one of the most important public events of her year. Every detail had been carefully planned, and the cause meant a great deal to her. The public response was expected to be overwhelmingly positive. Then something went wrong, and it wasn't an accident. Today, we uncover the truth. To fully understand what happened, you need to look at the relationship between Queen Camilla and Sophie, their history, the quiet struggle for influence, and the growing competition for relevance inside the palace. The quiet rivalry no one talks about. This isn't an open feud. Both women are far too experienced for that. They smile at public events, attend the same engagements, and pose side by side for photographs. But beneath the surface, royal watchers have noticed something else, a slow, simmering competition. It's a battle for relevance, public affection, and influence within the court of King Charles III. After Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped back from royal duties, and Prince Andrew was removed from official roles, the number of senior working royals shrank dramatically. Now only a small core remains: Charles, Camilla, Prince William, Catherine, Princess, and Edward, and Sophie. That means every appearance, every trip, every headline carries far more weight than before. And here's where it gets interesting. In 2024, Sophie matched Princess, and for the highest number of overseas visits, traveling to 9 countries. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla completed 6. Put simply, Sophie is outworking the Queen. And inside the palace, that hasn't gone unnoticed. Sophie's rise and why it matters. Sophie's rise hasn't just been steady, it's been dramatic. In the early 2000s, she was seen as a minor royal, even facing controversy after a 2001 tabloid sting where she made indiscreet comments about senior royals, including Charles and Camilla. At one point, she even described their relationship as deeply unpopular, remarks that nearly derailed her public role. But she rebuilt, quietly, carefully, consistently. Then came 2022. When King Charles III ascended the throne, Edward and Sophie were granted the prestigious title of Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, once held by Prince Philip. That wasn't just a title, it was a signal of trust. Sophie had already grown close to Queen Elizabeth II, becoming one of the few non-blood relatives called to Balmoral in her final hours. That kind of trust carries weight, and Sophie wears it like armor. The Diana effect. But the tension between Sophie and Camilla goes deeper than workload or visibility. There's another factor, one that still lingers over the monarchy. Princess Diana. Sophie's public image, her warmth, her empathy, her hands-on charity work, has led to increasing comparisons with Diana. From supporting women in crisis zones to engaging directly with vulnerable communities, her approach echoes the kind of impact Diana once had. For many, she represents a modern version of that same connection with the public. And that creates a problem for Camilla. For years, Queen Camilla has worked to reshape her image, moving beyond the shadow of Diana and earning her place as queen. But Sophie's rise has unintentionally reopened that comparison. And those comparisons are hard to ignore. The moment that raised eyebrows. In April 2024, a key decision brought this tension into the spotlight. King Charles III released a royal honors list, but notably excluded Edward and Sophie. Instead, he chose to recognize Queen Camilla alongside Prince William and Catherine. To the public, it may have seemed like a routine decision, but behind the scenes, it sparked quiet speculation. Because in a monarchy where symbolism matters, omission can speak louder than recognition. And many began to wonder, was this simply protocol, or a sign of deeper dynamics at play? The palace operates within a deeply complex hierarchy where advisors, courtiers, and senior family members all play a role in shaping how royal affairs are managed. Every individual holds a certain level of influence, helping guide decisions that reflect a careful balance of power, loyalty, and long-standing relationships within the royal family. The honors list, therefore, is not just about recognition. It quietly reveals the shifting dynamics and underlying rivalries inside the institution. A source close to the royal circle expressed clear disappointment, viewing the situation as a deliberate snub. They emphasized the loyalty of Prince Edward and his household, insisting that their commitment has never wavered. The source also pointed to Edward's dedication to the arts, a contribution often overshadowed by how his public image is portrayed. Those close to Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, described the moment as both disappointing and telling, hoping it might eventually lead to something more significant. Such reactions reveal a deeper sense of being overlooked, suggesting the couple may feel intentionally sidelined in a system where visibility and recognition carry real weight. Inside the palace, where honors and appearances define status, being excluded sends a powerful message. It reflects Edward and Sophie's current standing within the royal hierarchy and highlights how perception and quiet political moves can shape both influence and public respect. Meanwhile, the situation grows even more intense when looking at Queen Camilla's position. She is not only navigating her complex relationship with Sophie, but is also facing a far more serious and emotionally charged dynamic with Catherine, Princess of Wales. Insiders suggest that tensions between Camilla and Kate have reached their most serious point, yet fueled by what many see as a growing power struggle within the royal family. This tension intensified after Kate's highly anticipated return to public life following her cancer treatment. During her absence, Camilla had worked to strengthen her own public image. But Kate's overwhelming public shifted the spotlight, instantly raising concerns that her rising popularity could overshadow Camilla's position. A royal insider described the situation as one of the fiercest internal clashes in years, noting that Camilla increasingly feels sidelined while Kate's confidence and visibility continue to grow. This shift has not gone unnoticed. Even Camilla's close allies admit she senses a clear change in the balance of power. The rise of not just one but three highly respected royal women, Princess and Sophie and Kate, has created an atmosphere filled with pressure and quiet rivalry. In such an environment, feeling overlooked can push anyone into a defensive position, and subtle moves to protect status become almost inevitable. Camilla's response appears measured yet clearly driven by a need to hold her ground. At the same time, Sophie's growing visibility adds another layer of tension. Once seen as a quiet and supportive figure, she has steadily become more prominent in royal duties and public life. But within a system where hierarchy matters, deeply rising too quickly can also make someone a target. This delicate balance of ambition, popularity, and influence has turned the palace into a highly charged environment. Alliances can shift, tensions can rise without warning, and each figure must carefully navigate their place within the evolving structure. And yet, what makes Sophie particularly difficult to undermine is something far more subtle. Her greatest strength is not just her work ethic or even her impressive humanitarian record. It is her refusal to engage in palace politics, a quality that sets her apart. Royal commentator Katie Nicholl notes that Sophie's popularity comes from her calm and grounded nature. There is no dramatic, unnecessary spotlight. She simply continues her work to yet like consistent lion with discipline. And in a palace full of strategy and shifting power, that kind of simplicity can be the most powerful advantage of all. Katie Nicholl also pointed out that Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has risen in prominence largely because she avoids getting entangled in internal palace politics. A close friend of the late Queen Elizabeth II revealed that the Queen's endorsement of Sophie still carries real weight because she embodies the very qualities Elizabeth valued most due to loyalty, service, and discretion. Most importantly, Sophie is seen as a bridge rather than a threat. Royal author Sean Smith described her as perfectly positioned between generations, standing right in the middle of Catherine, Princess of Wales, Princess Anne, and Queen Camilla. She supports Kate, works closely with, and then regularly appears alongside Camilla, often with what seem to be genuinely warm interactions. As Nicholl noted, sometimes during public engagements you catch moments between Sophie and Camilla where the smiles don't feel staged, they appear real. And that's where the real challenge begins. It's incredibly difficult to target someone who is widely liked, respected, and never creates controversy. Any attempt to undermine Sophie would look petty, obvious, and even harsh, especially given her work with survivors of conflict and visits to war zones. Which is why if pressure is applied, it rarely happens openly. Instead, it happens quietly. Through scheduling conflicts, event timing, resource allocation, deciding which appearances are promoted and which are quietly buried. Sometimes even arranging overlapping engagements. This is how palace politics truly works, not through confrontation but through calendars. And now, according to sources close to Prince Edward's household, concerns have emerged about possible interference in one of Sophie's events. Official spokespeople may deny or downplay it, but the fact that someone from Edward's inner circle chose to speak out signals something deeper. In institutions like the royal family, leaks are never random. They are controlled signals of pressure release when direct confrontation isn't possible. The language used, words like disappointing and references to loyalty despite being overlooked, suggest a household that has quietly built up frustration over time. And yet Sophie isn't going anywhere. Her role as a stabilizing figure, a link between generations, is only becoming more important. Especially as King Charles III continues his cancer treatment and Kate steps further into a leading public role. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more valuable Sophie becomes, the more threatening her rising influence may appear to those who measure their position through attention and status. In a palace shaped by history, strong personalities, and competing interests, someone is always watching, always calculating. The real question isn't whether palace politics will try to limit her. It's whether Sophie, calm, disciplined, widely respected, will continue to rise above it. History suggests she will. But the royal family has surprised the world before. Because when it comes to the monarchy, the real drama rarely plays out in public speeches. It hides in missed invitations, tight smiles, carefully timed leaks, and calendars that quietly tell the real story. Right now, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, stands as one of the most admired working royals, championing causes like supporting survivors of conflict, advocating for women in war zones, and helping vulnerable communities. She does it quietly, without chasing headlines, without demanding recognition. And if someone within the palace is trying to hold her back, the world is watching. The only question left is this a targeted effort or simply the natural friction inside one of the most pressured institutions on earth?